Morning, welcome to another Morning Java, brought to you as always by our friends at the Get Go Cafe and Market, where they have really good fish sandwiches. That's the big deal this month.
They have cod, they have shrimp, and the amount of shrimp they put in there, it's crazy. It's like overflowing.
They have ranch dressing as well.
I haven't put that on shrimp.
The Penguins are in Raleigh facing the Carolina Hurricanes in what's probably the Hurricanes' biggest game in, I don't know, years, if you think about it. Mm-hmm. At the same time, the Penguins have their own things to overcome. They just faced two terrific rookie goaltenders over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Hart put on a Hart-like, Carter Hart put on a Hart-like performance. So
he was amazing.
I think it was 41 saves, and I mean, the amount of chances, I mean, the third line especially was putting on him. I mean, he robbed them so many times.
No, it's so strange seeing anyone in a Philadelphia uniform tend to goal well.
Yeah.
It's been 30 years.
And he's a kid. He's 20 years old. You see him in the locker room, he just looks like someone's kid.
No, he's a child. Yeah. And then the day before that, of course, it was Jordan Binnington from the Blues, who's 25, but also a rookie. I thought Binnington was just as good.
Yeah.
And sometimes in hockey, when you face a couple of really tough goalies, it can be like facing a tough pitcher in baseball, where you just kind of get out of the swing of things, to borrow from the baseball thing. So here go the Penguins into Carolina against Curtis McElhinney, who's played well against them, but Carolina doesn't have anywhere near the goaltending. What do the Penguins need to do, basically, to just get it all together here? Because they're creating chances.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just going to say keep doing what they're doing, because the amount of chances they're throwing on, especially, I mean, against Philly, the first two periods alone, I mean, they were putting up twice as many shots, twice as many chances. They drew into a hot goaltender. If they can,
and high danger chances too.
I
think I remember the Philadelphia count. I think was 10-5 for the game. Philadelphia gets 2 goals on their 5 high danger chances, and the Penguins are just firing and firing and firing.
I mean, the third line alone through the first 2 periods is something like 80% in their favor, like against 80% chances in their favor. Corsi for. And like they had like 2 or 3 high danger chances. The Flyers had like none against them. But I mean, the third line, if they keep them together and they can keep, doing what they're doing, and they run into a goaltender who's not having an MVP
serious
performance.
Question I've been meaning to ask you: do you think we will ever reach the point with hockey fans where they will watch a team perform the way the Penguins did over the weekend and not ask things like, why can't they produce any offense? I mean, we heard that constantly over the weekend, but they're generating tons of offense.
Yeah, I mean, because that's also the thing you hear when you talk about like advanced stats, like because that shows like they're doing all of these good things, and people, they don't care if the goals aren't coming, but I mean, if those advanced stats, those shot numbers, that pressure they're creating, well, no, that's not lying, and that's a good sign, and that will lead to goals eventually. I know, unless you're playing Carter Hart. Yeah,
unless you're playing Carter Hart or Jordan Binnington. Bring on Curtis McElhinney. Robert Bortuzzo is still buds with a lot of the guys on the Penguins, or at least he was before Saturday.
Have guessed watching that game with the way he was going after some of the Penguins, especially. I mean,
Malkin. If Evgeny Malkin, he cross-checks him. From what we could tell on the video, it looks like
it was definitely a side. It looked like it could be ribs, but I mean, it was pretty violent, and I mean, it was away from the puck. I mean, and Malkin was down for a while. It looked pretty serious.
Yeah, it did. And then this hasn't been discussed really by too many people. We noted it in our coverage that Bortuzzo also went after from behind Sidney Crosby, low in the back, blind side. That was actually down closer to us on the near boards. There was a cross-checking penalty called in the Philadelphia game against my dude Radko Gudas, their defenseman from the Flyers. And yeah, I had to pronounce that. You hear that with the rolled R. I want to see more cross-checking called. I love what the NHL has done, and it's carried down to all other levels of hockey as well, in cutting down on the slash, the chop on the wrists.
Just look at Malkin's totals. I'm pretty sure he leads everyone in stick and for actions.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But good.
Yeah.
I mean, that actually as often as you see Gino go to the box, that actually benefits Gino too. Why hasn't it been the same with the cross-check? I mean, it's two hands to somebody's spine.
Yeah, that was as blatant as a cross-check as you're going to see. I don't know if the officials didn't see it or...
There's 4.
I know, yeah, I don't...
And the one on Sid, the puck was literally in front of him. He's leaning down to get the puck, and Bortuzzo comes in like right across the mid-back.
It wasn't subtle.
No,
it wasn't subtle.
He knocked him down.
Yeah, Malkin,
so that to me tells me that the officials or the NHL's officiating association almost has in their mindset that, I mean, we're going to call this, and we're even going to call the little tug or the trip or the free hand because that's what we're being told. But cross checks,
Yeah, and I mean, in front of the crease, I mean, you do see that guys like kind of like going back and forth like that.
Right.
I don't know if that's what because that is where Malkin's happened.
Yep.
I don't know, like,
but that doesn't make it okay.
It doesn't make it okay, but this crossed the line. This wasn't just like, shoving back and forth, someone was trying to screen a goaltender. This was like violent. He went down. And then, I can't believe there wasn't
So
there
if they don't see it though, so there's no call. Okay, let's presume, okay, and you said yourself, the puck's away from them. Okay, so let's say that all four guys are looking away, and that's not how it's supposed to work. The outside ref, the guy that's outside the blue line is supposed to be watching in front of the net. Let's say they decide, how does the NHL's Department of Player Safety, who de facto confirmed to our site that they review everything, how do they look at that? They know now that Malkin's ribs are broken.
Yeah.
How do they look at that and say,
I don't know. Even if it's not worth even if it's not worth a suspension in their eyes, I mean, at least fine them.
Yeah.
Like,
he used his stick to literally injure somebody else.
it's not even like they're fines or anything crazy. It's like pennies on the
$5,000,
it's like and they don't even think that's worth that.
Now, you have a piece up on our site this morning that's not your normal Wheeling Nailers piece.
No, I like doing player features with those, but yeah, I definitely went in a bit of a different direction.
This is a vehicle feature.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I think a lot of people don't know about. I mean, I think people, I guess, kind of have an idea that minor league travel isn't the most glamorous thing, but I mean, in the ECHL, they're definitely struggling a bit. I mean, they didn't travel at all by plane this year. Their schedule didn't need it, but they travel by bus. And after a certain amount of hours, like depending on how long the trip is, they travel by sleeper bus. It's a sleeper bus for some. They're short beds.
It depends on your
thing.
level of veteranocity as whether or not you have a sleeping quarter.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just heard so many stories from these guys. They travel, I mean, with 20-something guys. There's 18 beds. They actually, they take a hat and all the rookies put their credit cards in. And then a veteran or, like an older guy will draw cards for the remaining bunks. And then if you don't get your card drawn, you sleep on the floor.
So like let's presume that, let's say that Wheeling's coach got really creative and he decided that the people who were going to sleep on the floor were going to be like the guys who were the worst players in that given game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I'm thinking here from the parent Penguin standpoint here, who are the 2 or 3 people that we would have sleeping on the Wheeling floor of their bus? I've got Phil. Actually, Phil.
After last game,
Phil might be in the luggage compartment after that last game, right?
I don't know. I mean, are we talking game by game? Because
I think so.
Crosby's had a pretty bad.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know if I'd put Crosby on the floor, but he hasn't looked too good.
Sid did not have a good game.
No. Yeah, but I mean, in Wheeling, they do that by rookies. Well, and so they do a lottery system now because they have so many young guys. Yeah. But years ago, I mean, they've always had they haven't had enough beds. If there's so few rookies, the rookies, they know every game I'm on the ground because there's just, like, there's so few rookies by default. I mean, Casey DeSmith, when he was down there,
I'm glad you mentioned
he was on the floor every time. I talked about it. I think he said the first road trip, he had to sleep on the floor, like, by a vent, and there's just air blowing in his face. He woke up sick.
Yeah, understand that what these guys are doing down there is for the love of the game.
Yeah, you can't question their drive, especially like
it's not for the money, it's not for the living quarters, it's not for the travel.
Especially when you look at like a guy like Yushiro Hirano, who came over from Japan. He was making good money over there in his hometown. He gives that up to ride on the floor.
They put him on the floor?
He got on the floors, but he blogged about it, how he was on the floor their first road trip. Guys are stepping on him. He was on the floor, and you can't question his drive.
No, but in all seriousness, it's something to think about the next time you watch Casey DeSmith play, and when you see that look in his eyes after games when we interview him, and he's all, he always has that real, like, happy, excited look. Like,
Because he knows he gets to fly home after the
he gets to fly home, and it's like, you see Casey DeSmith looks like that after he's given up 7 goals. He's waiting by his stall for us, like this. Like this, and like, Case, which one of the 7 goals gave you the most problems? And he's like, none, man. I'm happy to be here.
He's seen some stuff.